Hello and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, got another gem of an interview here with Mance Harmon, and we are getting some absolute fire within this one. So this is actually a continuation. So this is again with King Solomon, who is on X and YouTube, and he's managed to interview Leemon Baird, and now he's actually also managed to interview Mance Harmon. And so this is a continuation from obviously the interview with Leemon Baird, and I've got some absolute gems within here that I want to share with you guys. And again, this just continues to make me feel really bullish on Hedera. I'm seeing their vision. It's the vision that I thought they would be aiming for. It's completely in line with what I would expect. So again, it's nice to know that I'm on the right path when I'm thinking this is the kind of way that I expect things to go, because obviously this is the kind of things that I'm sharing with you guys on my channel. So you'll hear some things from this interview that will obviously reiterate things that I've told you guys before. There's some things in here that I may not have addressed before, but always great to hear this. And so I want to share this with you guys so you can get an idea of how this is looking for Hedera and how this is going to affect their company in the years to come, right? So shout out to King Solomon for this interview, and Generation Infinity, because that's the company who he represents and they're the ones who brought this interview to the table. I won't play it as always for copyright purposes, but again, I've bullet pointed the main things that I want to address here, and I will get into these now. So the very first thing that we've got here is Mance jumps straight in, to be honest with you, talking about widespread adoption, and this is absolutely great in how he explains this, and it's exactly what I would be thinking, and it's exactly how I try and explain it to you guys when I try and talk about how mass adoption occurs, right? So he says widespread adoption occurs when existing large-scale enterprise solutions, which the big enterprises run their systems on, start integrating crypto within their systems, right? So basically these enterprises have already got their large scale enterprise solutions that they're currently utilizing, right? But then they start seeing the benefits of crypto, right? They start seeing how crypto can also benefit their solutions that they're currently using, their technology, right? And so what they start doing is they start utilizing the crypto, right, to benefit their technology. And so what happens is these crypto companies, these crypto networks, they get woven into the fabric, right? So it's kind of like it just meshes together. And that's what widespread adoption is, right? It's when these things become like seamless. It's like a seamless transition, right? And so when these things happen, what occurs is you'll basically see like a shift of migration, right? But it will be seamless. It's not something that you'll really realize. Think about the internet now, right? When you first had the internet was very old. When you used to have the internet on your phone, it was very pixelated. It was very slow, right? And, you know, to get on the internet back in the day, for you guys who might remember, there was like dial-up internet. It wasn't just readily available now how you have like broadband, right? So to get on the internet, you would have to have a phone connection, a landline connection, and you'd have to connect to the internet, right? And so you'd use the internet for X amount of time and then you would come off. Nowadays, internet is just, you know, once you have it installed, it's just readily available, right? It's just continuously connected. It's always running, right? And so this is how the internet is now, but that's not how it always was. But again, we slowly continue to build up, and then it becomes a thing where the internet becomes what it is now. If you think back to the early days of the internet, YouTube wasn't a thing, right? You couldn't just go and upload videos to YouTube and stuff like that. But if you think about it now, YouTube is something that you can actually do as a career, right? But that wasn't the thing back then. There was a point where you could just put videos out for fun and stuff like that. But if you think of where YouTube was before at the very beginning and where it is now, it's completely different, right? And so it's continued to evolve. And that's what they're talking about with this technology. That's how things happen, right? The technology comes in, it continues to evolve. So these enterprise solutions will see this technology being a benefit. They will start to integrate this technology to benefit their current technology. And then it slowly migrates into the newer technology because the newer technology is better and will overall benefit their systems, right? And so then the Web 2 slowly evolves into Web 3, which is crypto, right? Completely agree with this. That's exactly how widespread adoption will occur. And this is why one of the videos I did not long ago, where they was talking about having an app on phones which is powered by Hedera, that's what I'm talking about with mass adoption, because it's there for the average Joe to just instantly have access, right? You just buy a new phone and you've just got a crypto wallet there already installed on the phone, right? So even if it's someone who may not have been interested before, it's like, oh, okay, what's this crypto wallet here? And then they might say like, oh yeah, you know, you can just buy this instantly using this app and that kind of thing. They're like, oh, okay, let me just try it out. Right? And so these things happen and they don't even realize what's going on behind the scenes. They've just had an app installed on their phone readily available and they're just maybe testing it out and they think, oh, this is pretty cool. I'll continue to use this. That's how widespread adoption occurs. That's the fabric getting woven in, right? You've got phones, which is not an old technology, but it's a technology that's already been around for a long time. But then they're integrating it with crypto, right? They're integrating it with a custody wallet that's powered by Hedera. That's then utilizing Hedera. So as they utilize that app, they are utilizing Hedera. That's adoption, right? So completely makes sense to me. Real great explanation there. Completely agree with that. Then he speaks about the finance sector, because when he was basically talking about this, he was speaking rather specific in regards to the finance sector. So this is just one sector that we're talking about right now. But he was saying when these aspects happen in terms of, you know, getting woven into the fabric, etc., he's saying it then becomes possible for banks and credit unions to basically utilize the technology as well. So it gives them the aspect to just flip the switch and turn it on in regards to the adoption, right? In terms of utilizing the crypto technology. Now, one thing I do just want to address about this, because I know within the XRP community, like the flick the switch thing is like, it's a huge thing that everybody talks about in terms of like a price explosion, right? There's just one thing I want to explain about this, because I've noticed this is not something I really hear in the HBAR community, and I don't want this to be misconstrued and taken in the wrong way. Now, he's talking about flipping the switch and turning it on. That is going to be absolutely great for utility. It is, right? But does that just mean it's going to instantly explode in price? No. Okay. So I just want to make that clear, because I don't want this to become a running theme in the HBAR community as well, because I've already seen it a lot within the XRP community. It's definitely going to be helping in terms of price to a certain degree, of course, but it's not like once they just flip this switch as they speak. It's kind of like a term of phrase, right? It just means they're going to start utilizing crypto more. So yes, that's going to help with utility, etc. But it's not just going to suddenly drive the price into like thousands of dollars in terms of the price of the coin and stuff like that. It's just going to help aid with mass adoption. Okay, so I just want to make that clear, because that's not something that I want people to get their head stuck on now because they see flip the switch and think this is the secret to the price just absolutely exploding. It's not necessarily. It's going to help, but it's not going to be the driver that just happens so everybody gets caught up on this flip the switch date and stuff like that, because there's a lot of conspiracy theories in the XRP community, and I'm trying to keep it all within logic and reason. So I just want to make that clear. Is it going to help? 100%, but it's not going to be the factor that absolutely explodes price. But we're talking about adoption, and that's what it helps. So that is great. That is absolutely great. Okay. So another thing that he started talking about is DREC. So he's talking about DREC, and this is again just in regards to trying to have custody of your keys and stuff like that. So it's in regards to basically your identification. So they're talking about, like, let's just say, for example, you lose your keys, right? At the moment, if you lose your keys in crypto, it's game over, right? If you just lose your keys, that's it. Your crypto's gone. Unless you can gain access to the keys somehow, like unless you can somehow find the keys again, that's it. Right? And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it in a way so that if you lose your keys, there's like a backup, but a backup in a decentralized way. Because obviously if you think, okay, well, there's a backup here somewhere on a cloud, they might think, well, who has access to this cloud, right? Like, what if I've got, like, think about this from a millionaire's perspective, right? Let's just say you've got millions of dollars worth of crypto on a wallet, right? And you want to back up this wallet. So you say, okay, I'm going to back up the wallet to make sure if I lose my keys, it's safe. You'd probably be thinking, but if I'm backing up this wallet, someone may have access to the keys, right? I don't want to have someone else to have access to these keys because it's worth millions of dollars. So when they're talking about doing it in a decentralized way, it's so that you are still the person who has this control. There's no one else who has access to this. It's personal to you, but it adds that safety net that if you do lose your keys, there is another avenue for you. I think that's absolutely great, because I think that's one of the things that scares people at the moment. It's so easy within crypto to just lose access to your wallet that it is scary, because if you invest a lot of money and then for whatever reason you just lose your keys, that's it. That's it. End of the road, right? And I think for people who've been in that situation, it would just scare them away from crypto for good, because they'll just think, I'm not putting myself in that position again, right? So of course you want to be in a position where you can still get access to your keys should you lose them for whatever reason, right? So I think that's a great thing. One of the references he talks about is like, if you lost your phone, like in this day and age, if you lose your phone, you can basically go onto an app and it will show you where your phone's located, right? So that's what they're talking about with these keys. Like if you lose your keys, they want to make it so there's a way that you can somehow recover the keys, yeah? But in a decentralized way. I think that's a great idea. Okay, so then just moving on, they're talking about just generally speaking with crypto adoption. And Mance was just saying how right now America is behind in terms of crypto adoption. Europe are kind of leading the front with this MiCA bill, right? And I've said this numerous times. I'm not really going to get into this too much. It's a shame because America actually do lead the pack. Let's just be completely honest. If America was to really go forward and really drive adoption and accept crypto technology, everyone else will follow suit. So it's good that there are other countries who are accepting crypto and are being crypto friendly, but it would be a lot faster if America did it as well. So the fact that they're taking so long, it's making it harder because they're the main country. Like that's just a fact of the matter. So yeah, it's a shame in that regard. I'm not going to get too much into it because it's like beating a dead horse for me. I've said this numerous times. Hopefully at some point now, America will start to accept crypto technology, and it does seem that way because I've noticed we're hearing about a Bitcoin ETF looking like it's going to be coming soon. So that seems like the start of the acceptance that, crypto is going in the right direction. So fingers crossed that does occur. Okay, so another thing that Mance was just talking about was DeFi. And he was saying how he believes that the legacy organizations will actually be the first to realize the potential of DeFi. He thinks that the legacy organizations will see the potential profit that can be made within DeFi. And he thinks they will start to integrate and accept DeFi. And that's what will help it grow exponentially. I agree. I think the thing with DeFi at the moment is just that it's scary because it's the wild, wild west out there. Like we see rug pulls and stuff like that going on all the time. There's a lot of like compliance issues because there is no regulatory clarity. So there's no way to shake out the bad actors or anything like that. So it really is just a free for all at the moment. But the actual potential of DeFi is incredible. I really do think that. And I think once there is a bit more clarity in regards to the space, once they see the potential of what DeFi can really be, I think a lot of companies will want to start getting their hands in DeFi. I really think that's just a matter of time. So again, I completely agree with Mance here. All completely makes sense. So then moving on, we've got a talk here in regards to compliance. And, this is a big deal because if we think about how we've seen Gary Gensler going on with, his absolute crypto tirade, just trying to call all crypto securities essentially, it's really a big deal to try and be as compliant as possible. And one thing I have noticed is that so far I've not seen HBAR be mentioned at all in regards to, security status or anything like that. Now, that's not to say that HBAR is definitely safe, but it's interesting that it hasn't been brought up because Gary has mentioned a number of cryptos at this point. And so far, we've not heard anything about HBAR. And to me, no news is good news. And so when Mance is just speaking about this, it just kind of explains part of the reason as to why this may be the case. So one of the questions was just in regards to like, has the whole situation with how things have been compliance wise with the SEC made them like reflect on how they're doing business and change things? And Mance said, well, the way you're asking that question is kind of the wrong way to look at it because what you're saying is like, have we been doing shady business and then we've seen what Gary Gensler is doing and that's made us change our ways? And he says, no, we were looking at compliance from the very beginning. This was something that we wanted to make sure we got right from the get-go. So we did everything we can to make sure that we were compliant, right? And so he actually said that they've actually got a really good reputation within the industry. They really have. He said they've sacrificed a lot of quick gains to be where they are now. They actually said, when they looked at their vision, they wanted Hedera to be like a 100-year company. And so they've done a lot of sacrifices and they've made a lot of personal decisions to do their business the way they want to for the long-term vision. And I think it looks like it's paying off because so far we haven't seen any issues with the SEC. Now, I will just say this. I don't think it necessarily has to be a thing where even if you are compliant, I think if Gary and the SEC want to try and come after you, they will, because we've seen that with Ripple. Ripple were having meetings with the SEC. They were trying their best to be compliant, but they still went after them. So I'm not going to say that means they're 100% in the clear. But the fact of the matter is, if Hedera have done everything that they need to do to be compliant on their end, then the law will be on their side, right? Because if they can prove they've done everything they can to be as compliant as possible, they can prove that, right? And we've seen that with the victory with Ripple, because in the end, they lost the lawsuit because the SEC were in the wrong. So all you have to do is to be able to evidence it. And as long as you've got a judge who is fair, then the law will be on your side, which is great to hear. Like, it's good to know that it's not a thing where they've tried to cut any corners or anything like that. They've really took the long-term route for this vision to get Hedera where they want it to be. So that's great stuff to hear. Okay, so we're coming towards the end now. This is something that I've spoke to you guys numerous times, and this is something I wanted to just reiterate because I tell you guys as much as I can. Tokenization is the future, guys. I've said it so many times, but I really am trying to stress it how big this will be. So they were talking about how at the moment Hedera they're getting like 3 billion transactions every 3 weeks, and they were saying, do you think this is going to be a drop in the bucket in the future? And Mance says, yeah. He says, like with tokenization alone, that is going to make 3 billion a week absolutely nothing. That's not going to be a big deal. And he was talking about how, like, at the moment you've got like companies who are doing like tokenization projects for, like, let's just say a few million, maybe a billion. He's saying, in the future that won't even make a headline, because the type of money that will be getting tokenized, it will be completely unfathomable. Like, that's how big a deal tokenization is going to be. And if you remember, going back to Leemon's interview, he said everything of value will be tokenized. Guys, I'm telling you now, tokenization is going to be one of the biggest things that drives value to Hedera. I'm telling you that now. And tokenization will be a huge thing in the future. We're only hearing it here and now because it's still new. And that's what Mance said. He said, we're very early, so a lot of these things are getting big headlines because it's the first of its kind. But once this is a normal thing, you won't be hearing small numbers like that. There'll be way bigger numbers that will make headlines. I completely agree. Tokenization is going to be massive, guys. Take heed in what I'm saying. Look out for tokenization, because that's going to be one of the biggest drivers of price, in my opinion. I really believe that. Okay, so just to finish, just one last thing that he was saying in regards to this. And again, we was talking about being early. And this is what I try and tell you guys, because you're always looking at price, right? You're always getting fixated with how the price is and how things are being affected with price. This is what you've still got to understand, guys. I've told you it numerous times, but I will say it again. We are early. You may not think that. You may have been in the space for 3 years. You may have been in the space for 6 years. Guys, you're early. You may not feel like that because you feel like you've been here a long time. You're early. This is technology that will soon be taking over the world. This will be the new technology of the future. So yes, it does take years to play out. It does. So yes, you're not seeing everything just being priced into the value of these tokens just yet. No, because it takes time to really build this kind of infrastructure. That's what this is. And so Mance just spoke on that. He said, look, it took decades to see the true potential of Web 1.0. It took decades to see the potential of Web 2.0. And it's going to take decades to see the potential of Web 3.0. That's what this type of technology is, guys. It's not short term. Things get expanded and expanded and expanded, right? Like when we look at the internet now, as I've said earlier, we're still seeing the internet evolve, right? If you think about it on your phone, you had GPRS, right? Then you had 2G, then you had 3G, 4G, we're going into 5G. This is what it is. It's an evolution. It takes time for these things to continue to evolve. And this is why even now, we've probably not seen everything that this crypto technology can offer. Like, we're looking at all these things now, and yes, there's amazing use cases already. But as things develop and they start to utilize it even more and see more things that they can do and play around with the technology, even more use cases can be created. Because this is going to be the technology of the future, guys. And in my opinion, Hedera is going to be one of the front runners of crypto technology. I believe that. So in terms of value and price and stuff like that, in my opinion, don't worry about it right now, because it will come. It takes time to see it all come to fruition. But you've seen so many things with Hedera, and you've heard all these big companies who want to work with them, the partnerships, the governing council. Guys, Hedera is going to be huge. That's my opinion. It's going to be huge. It's going to be one of the biggest brands in the crypto space. That's my opinion. I clearly and truly believe that. So I hope that interview has made you feel good hearing those bullet points. I thought it was an absolutely amazing interview. If you do want to see it, you can see it on Hedera's X profile. They have reposted the link on their X profile, so you can check out the interview there. It's really good. It's a long interview, but it's worth it because you'll get way more information than what I've just done. I've kind of really tried to abbreviate it down because it's quite a long interview, but it's worth listening to. And if you need that reassurance of where Hedera is going, it's worth the listen, guys. So, what do you guys think after hearing all this? Does this make you bullish on HBAR? Are you very excited for the future? Do you think this is all going to help the price overall with everything that I've mentioned? Or does this not make you excited? Do you not really feel like you've heard anything there that would really make you think is going to make an impact on HBAR or its price overall? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.